Welcome back from that break. Tonight, local beverage manufacturing giant Casa Prego has assured consumers of its soft drinks and bottled mineral water products of improved quality. This follows establishment of a new plant and production line of the company to help meet the market demand of its products. The company took some journalists on a tour of a new production line in Accra after successfully commissioning the project. Here's a report.
The newly enhanced capacity production line started operations at the beginning of the year to boost efficiency of the beverage company. According to Casa Prego, the new Awake mineral water, which is one of the flagship products from this plant, has not been sealed but improved with quality. Chris Adosakode is marketing manager of Casa Prego.
Yes, you will find a bottle without the seal, but please make sure that you always find it very tight. You find the cap very tight, unlike this. If you find it or the cup already open, please do not buy or do not drink it. But if you find it very tight up here, just like how we ensure that all safety measures are in place for the water, you should be able to hear that sound to authenticate that the seal has not or wasn't open before you bought the product. Then again, you can equally download the tax stamp app, which you should be able to verify the authenticity of the tax stamp that you find here.
After taking some media personnel on a tour of a plant, sales manager Samuel Iwuku explained to Joy Business the new production line and the idea behind the expansion project.
Initially, we introduced Awake in a pack of 12 in order to support the cardiothoracic center unit. However, when we saw the growing demand for Awake and how people were patronizing the product, we increased to 15, giving 3 additional bottles for free. Yet, that was not enough to meet the demand of our consumers. However, we acquired a new machine that can produce 30,000 bottles per hour. Now, the 30,000 bottles per hour machine can only produce in a pack of 16, and it comes without the seal. The first one had a seal, but for you to be more convinced, all the 2 is coming from Awake purified water. And so if you buy the 15, there's a likelihood that you see the seal, but with the 16, there's no sale. But all the 2 goods for the same price. There's no price change. The additional bottle is for your consumption. We are giving out for free.
The company has promised to use the new equipment to dominate the market during the year. Ebenezer Sabutis reports for Joy Business.
Now, the National Lottery Authority has rejected claims that it seeks to do away with intermediaries in the lottery business with innovations introduced. Director General of the authority, Kofi Osamea, who spoke to Joy Business at the launch of a new game, Utriye, said his outfit's technology drive only seeks to provide convenience in the gaming business.
We believe that Utriye short code *787# is yet another demonstration of our resolve to get to the top end of the tech drive. So our association with them is yet another example of our seriousness and our resolve in getting to the destination for which we believe that Ghana will be one of the leaders in Africa in terms of the way we want to go technologically. It is not in any way an agenda to eliminate people, but it is an agenda to bring more people onto the superhighway so that everybody will have a piece of the cake or the pie. So no, that thought, that intent has never existed in our minds. What we have, our intention is for the good cause of Ghanaians. And for that matter, we give them a variety. We give them convenience and make sure that one has the freedom to choose between which avenue, which path they wish to take.
Executive of Asatec Group and former president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. James Asaria J, is challenging claims by Managing Director of Aluwex, Christian Okon, that Asatec and other dealers are contributing to the collapse of the state-owned Aluminium smelting company. This was when both parties were invited to an initial hearing last week by the Ghana International Trade Commission to, as part of a process, iron out their differences. Let's bring you now a recap of some of the concerns and allegations by Aluwex at the sit-in.
Aluwex is alleging that the importation of subsidized aluminium to Ghana is competing unfairly with locally manufactured products. The situation has resulted in a significant reduction of its production capacity from more than 1,000 metric tons per month to less than 100 tons. According to the company, the situation is reducing employment levels. Here is the managing director, Kwesi Oko, lamenting to Joy Business.
Far lower than our price, which means that any businessman who, as I showed you, he's getting our price, why would he buy from us? And they're killing us. Yeah. So we have to complain.
But some think you are not competitive enough.
How do you be competitive if somebody is selling below you and you can't sell? If you produce and it's sitting there, nobody's buying it, are you competitive or not? The price they are selling at is below us. What is competition again? They are below us.
But beyond that, there are challenges to the company, like Dr. Asaria J indicated.
Don't mind Dr. Asaria J. He's a bit confused. He used to work for me. He was a factory hand or something. He has no idea what he's talking about. A factory runs on turnover and cash flow. Yes? So you get metal or whatever it is you're going to do, you produce, you sell, you get money, you do the cycle again. You understand? If you do it and the money doesn't come, what do you do?
He further accused the managing director of Asatech Limited, who is also the former president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. James Asaria J., of also indulging in the nefarious activity.
Mr. Asaria J. trying to influence the JITC because he is an importer. He's using the rebate he's getting from China to destabilize Togo and Benin. He's making a lot of money. My customers in Benin tell me, oh, Asatech has come and sold me at this price. My customer in Togo says, oh, Asatech has been here. He sold me at this price. That impossible price. So I know if JITC gives a ruling, it will spoil that business. That's the motivation. That's the motivation. And I wasn't going to say anything, but because he went on to town, I decided to expose him.
Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ajekum, says the commission, after receiving the petition, will make a recommendation to government.
You know, if it's in case of dumping, in fact, if you realize that within a certain period of time, a certain product has been dumped overly, you know, is imported overly into Ghana, you want to ask why, which makes our products uncompetitive, then the government will want to raise a quota and say that, look, from now to go, we can only accommodate so much from this quota. So all these things, as I said, are going to WTO regulations, which all countries have signed up to, and which we are only taking advantage of, as other countries have done, bigger countries, smaller countries. And so we are also beginning to take advantage of that. It only tells you that this government wants Ghanaians to be respected, Ghana to be treated as a country, a sovereign country in its own right. We just don't take us for granted, you know, because if you are coming to do business with us, you have to obey our laws.
The Ghana International Commission is an internal body that adjudicates on the rules and regulations of the World Trade Organization.
Well, in response, the CEO of Asatech Group, an importer of aluminum raw materials, that is Dr. James Asaria J., was not happy with some of the allegations made by Kwesi Oko. He spoke to Joy Business, essentially first responding to some assertions involving his engagement with Aluwex.
If Kwesi Oko
Apologies, we'll fix that and get you that interview with Dr. James Asaria J. But he has also been condemning claims by the managing director of Aluwex, that is Kwesi Oko, that his company contributed to the collapse of the state smelting company.
We don't produce similar products at all, because what we do is that we take the circles and the coils produced at a secondary processing level, and then we add value to it through manufacturing to produce pots and pans and roofing sheets of various types. So definitely there's no competition. In fact, our customer profiles are entirely different. Whereas we produce finished goods in terms of pots and pans for the household market or roofing sheets for the building industry, you would have Aluworks doing semi-finished products. And in this case, they are producing aluminium circles and aluminium coils.
But do you use the same raw materials?
Yes, we, in fact, in terms of capacity, if Aluworks had the capacity, now we need to buy the semi-finished products from Aluworks, which then becomes the raw material for Asatex production. So you see, there's no competition whatsoever between Asatec and Aluworks, because we need to take their semi-finished products, the circles and then the coils, and then we will use as inputs or as raw materials for the production of our finished goods.
Meanwhile, the CEO of Asate Group, Dr. James Asare-Jay, is defending subsidies enjoyed by his company from China and said they were in accordance with international best practice. He, however, corrected the rebate was 13% and not 40%, as indicated by Mr. Kwesi Okon.
So globally, countries that want to support export drive would actually help businesses that are export oriented, and I think China is not doing anything different. At the hearing again, there was a representative from the Chinese embassy. Now he responded to the fact that in the presentation, again in the petition, now Aluworks had indicated that China is giving about 40% export rebate. And the representative from the Chinese embassy stated that no, it wasn't true. It was 13%, which is in consonance with international practices. So that 13% sort of export rebate, and then once you do the export and the proceeds come, then you, refund that sort of rebate given to you. So you see, yes, that's what, they give the rebate, to support you. Mm-hmm. And this 13% is really in conformity with international best practices. Mm-hmm. So normally when we are in positions of trust, we must check our sources of information.
In other news tonight, life in Accra can be drain you financially, considering the bills you have to pay as well as the general cost of living. But what about the life of a head porter, popularly known as Kaye, who has to endure to make a living in the central business district of Accra? In this edition of our Money Diaries, Charles Aite spent some time with these head porters to appreciate their spending patterns and our reports.
They risk their lives each day, carrying heavy loads to make a living. But how do they spend the meager amounts they earn on a daily basis? In this edition of Money Diaries, we explore life through the pockets of head porters within the central business district of Accra.
He coming here for the kaya you or saying they are coming to do some business and get money.
In the day I can spend, let's say, 10 cities, whether I like it or not.
These sisters came all the way from the northern region to seek greener pastures in Accra. Living on less than 10 cities a day, they help me understand how they manage to survive.
We spend 6 cities. Sometimes.
But in a day, how much do you spend?
In a day, whether you get or not, because you are searching for money, 6 cities does. I am spending 6 cities, 2 city morning, 2 city afternoon, 2 city evening.
But what can you buy with 2 cities?
Banku, no meat. You just take the banku like that.
2 Ghana cities on breakfast. That's what you said. You spend 2 cities on breakfast. So you've already spent 2 cities on breakfast, so it's gone. In the afternoon, you spend 2 cities on lunch. It's also gone. And in the evening, you spend 2 cities on supper. But in the case where you would have to visit the washroom, it's 80 pesos. You're left with 1 city. So 80 pesos is left with 20 cedis, 20 pesos now. What it means is that you will not be able to bath that very day.
When night falls, these ladies are at the mercy of the weather, sleeping under the open skies with no shelter. Even as government plans to establish a hostel for these head porters by 2020, Isifu Fusena and Eliatu are optimistic about the future.
Something can happen, but we give anything to God that we are here searching for money. We are suffering, like in our houses. We don't have anything, but we are sleeping in a room. But here we are sleeping in a floor.
Why don't you go back?
It's because of money.
This is the real life situation of head porters here at the Central Business District of Accra. Just take a look at where they're sleeping. And even to imagine life in their purses, in their various clothes where they keep their monies, is just unbearable. And for most of these young ladies, they're just trying hard, pushing harder to make life not just brighter for themselves, but that of their families.
Someone used to report tonight, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etienne is asking banks having challenges in getting persons onto their boards to separately engage the Bank of Ghana. It follows concerns that some commercial banks are struggling to secure the right personnel to occupy board positions. It comes on the back of a new Bank of Ghana Act and Corporate Governance Directive. Dr. Etienne tells Joy Business he fully supports the Bank of Ghana's stance on enforcement of the Corporate Governance Directives.
As it is. So I'm not surprised that they are having problems at the moment, because we don't have too many people who actually qualified. If you use the proper fit and test or the corporate governance, there are a lot of people who doesn't qualify. So when you tighten it, it will be very difficult to get people to be on the board, because it talks about experience in the industry and how many people have had that experience to be on the board. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that they are currently facing challenges.
Do you think that the commercial banks have a case or the situation where the regulator is being too tough on the industry?
Well, the regulator is only trying to do his job. But what we have forgotten is that the number of banks in the country, to me, even now, if you look at the expertise and the skills to help in helping banks, it will be very difficult even if you bring it to 15. Because we don't have too many people who have been in the industry for a long time, who understand the industry and who knows where the industries are going. So I think the regulator is only being tough. But I think case by case, I think if they go to the regulator and make a point, they'll be able to. Because if you're setting the audit subcommittee, it behoves on you under Sarbanes-Oxley Act, even the SABAX. You're supposed to have an accounting background, an auditing background. And when you take the risk committee, you're supposed to have people who are well experienced in risk with quantitative background. When I say quantitative, it's the modeling, the regression and modeling, so that when you have a product or you have a loan, you can sit down and do a modeling to find out if this one goes round. So it's going to be tough, and I agree with you, it's not going to be easy. Because I spoke to some banks, and they were having challenge to get even people to come and fit, especially the risk committee of the board, which is now the center of the bank at the moment.
So you advise them to make a case to the regulator for these particular banks in question?
Well, I would advise that they should go and make case by case. I don't think you would like to give a blanket check. That's everybody. But if you go and you can prove that on various committees, you're able to get one or two people which will support the business, I don't think they will be tough on you saying that they won't let you do it.
But some will say that these guys are not executive directors. Does it really matter? It's more of the broad idea sharing than the help me out, and then the executive directors may be helping the day-to-day. If I said on an audit committee, wouldn't this just be more of a supervisory role than an active audit work?
I think you're on top of it already. You've traveled a lot. After the World Cup and Aaron, the Americans were saying that if you don't have this expertise, you cannot sit on that board. And since then, it's been implemented. And when you go to the Basel Committee for the Governance Principle Enhancement, it specifically said that you need these creme de la creme people to be on certain committee. That is the challenge we have. We don't have the skills, we don't have competencies, we don't have the abilities, but we find ourselves already doing it. So what I will do is that people should, I mean, this is, I want to show you, this is a training developed internationally to post board members. But what other people don't want to do, they don't see board orientation and board training.
All right, that's it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Catch up on all the day's latest business stories. That's myjoyonline.com/business. We'll catch you same time tomorrow. Please stay tuned.